I'm Colin Farrell and I play Oz Cobb, also known as the Penguin. Watch the Penguin with Max on YouTube primetime channels today.
His ability was basically better than money could buy. But over time, they fell from the pedestal where they once prominently sat. Ever wonder why? Well, let's find out. I'm Nate the Great from TakeFlight214.com, and this is the rise and fall of Starter, the brand that ruled the 90s. But before we get started, please take a second to stop and hit that like button if you enjoy content like this. Liking and sharing these videos, especially for smaller channels at our level, is the only way to get the YouTube algorithms to notice us and help us to continue to grow. But with that being said, let's get right into the story. The Starter story actually begins way back in 1971 when the company was founded by David Beckerman and his partners. Having a basketball background, in 1966 Beckerman found himself working at Duxter's Sporting Goods. Well, he realized how bland the clothing was on the racks and how little interest they held with the casual sports fans. Convinced that he could do better, after tons of searching, he managed to convince Ruby Vine to invest $50,000, which he later combined with $25,000 out of his own pocket to launch Starter. The name was chosen for its simplicity. Beckerman thought all great brands were just one word, and because every athlete dreamed of being a starting player. In the early days, they focused on producing high-quality athletic jackets for teams at all levels, from youth leagues to professional franchises. In 1976, after convincing an employee of the then team manager of the New York Mets, Starter was finally given their first professional licensing. This got their foot in the door in the Major League Baseball, and other teams soon followed. The NBA and NHL joined within 2 years after that. The jackets were made from durable materials and featured the team's colors and logos, making them a popular choice among both players and fans. As Starter's reputation grew throughout the 80s, they began to expand their product lines, offering a wider range of apparel and accessories. It was in the 80s that they first introduced hats, t-shirts, and sweaters along with the jackets. But make no mistake about it though, the jackets were the hottest sellers. Having teams wear Starter was only part of Beckerman's strategy. He knew customers were brand loyal, turning their nose up at anything that didn't carry a familiar logo. Picking up on a trend that young adults were at the time wearing their hats backwards, Beckerman applied Starter's star logo on the back of the caps. The turning point from Starter came in 1983 though, when the brand signed a deal with the newly formed National Football League properties. Under the agreement, Starter became the official supplier for sideline jackets for all NFL teams, giving the brand unprecedented exposure and credibility, mainly because during winter games, every coach had a Starter pullover jacket on. The 90s marked the peak of Starter's popularity, as the jackets and other items became a key piece of pop culture. It didn't take long for the hip-hop community to catch on. Luke and the 2 Live Crew popularized the University of Miami jacket with their video and photo shoot appearances. Also, the iconic NWA photo from the Straight Outta Compton album, Eazy-E, Dr. Dre, and MC Ren were all wearing Starter hats. The brand got even more visibility when Will Smith, who would often wear pieces on his hit TV show, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And by 1995, Starter had become a billion-dollar company with sales continuing to rise. Because of all the NFL coaches wearing team pullovers, kids all over America had to have one in their school rotation. I remember having the Dallas Cowboys pullover and nobody could tell me I wasn't fresh whenever I wore it. The brand slogan, "Look for the Star," epitomized exactly what we were doing back then. If your hat or team jacket didn't have the recognizable star logo, then it was illegitimate. I personally remember clowning dudes for wearing the triple fat goose jackets. Yeah, you remember them? The classic Starter commercials featuring celebs of the day further served to keep the brand in the eyes of the fans. It got so bad that at one point, kids were actually being jumped and robbed for their starter jackets. And one kid tragically lost his life. Some schools even banned starter jackets from their premises due to all the popularity and drama. Starter was at its peak in the 90s, and at one point, Nike even approached Beckerman offering to buy them out, but Beckerman refused. The company wasn't only making money for themselves, they were radically improving teams' bottom line. When the Chicago White Sox switched to a starter branded color scheme, annual revenue for apparel sold at their stadium went from $100,000 to $4.5 million. Having turned down Phil Knight's personal proposal for purchase, Beckerman instead chose to take the company public. But it was at this moment that misfortune would truly begin to strike. In 1994, Major League Baseball canceled its postseason due to a player strike, traditionally the hottest time of the year for apparel sales. The lack of televised games wound up hitting Starter pretty hard. But to make things even worse, the NHL lockout followed shortly after. Suddenly, Starter was without the sports that drove their business. Not to mention, as the 90s churned into the 2000s, styles were changing and sports apparel was becoming less desirable. Throughout the latter half of the 90s, Starter chugged along, but by 1999, the writing was on the wall, and Starter was focused to declare Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Feeling he had done enough, Beckerman finally decided to sell. The company changed hands several times before finally landing at Nike in 2004. So it looks like old Phil wound up getting what he wanted after all, albeit years after he expected it. But Nike wouldn't hold the brand for long, and by 2007, Starter was acquired by Iconics. Today, although New Apparel has failed to regain position, it's not to say that they aren't making moves that could change things further down the line, but the vintage stuff still commands a premium price on the resale market. The retro resurgence combined with the OG aspect of Starter allows resellers to ask for and get crazy prices on the resale market. From the iconic Starter jackets of the 90s to the popular Starter caps, the vintage items are more than just clothing. They represent a cultural moment in history, mainly because the retro stuff represents a thing unto themselves. An OG Starter hat or jacket simply embodies a vibe. And for that reason, Starter will live on. But what do you think? Were you a fan of Starter back in the day? Do you think that they could rebound and get back to where they used to be? Hit us up in the comment section and let us know. And if you made it this far and you enjoyed the video, then we really hope that you consider hitting the like button. Liking and sharing these videos is the only way to get smaller channels like ours to grow to be bigger channels and to help me actually start making some money off of this thing. I mean, hey, don't get me wrong. I enjoy doing these things. Well, I enjoyed doing them when I was doing them for free. Now I'm monetized, so I'm making a little bit of money, but I want some of that big cash. So help your boy out by liking and sharing these videos. And if you want to be updated whenever we drop a new one, then hit the subscribe button and then the notification bell. That way you can be dinged whenever a new video drops. And with that being said, I'm Nate the Great from TakeFlight214.com signing out. Until next time, peace.